Hello and welcome to episode 2 of Family Reviewing with me, David Cameron, and my daughter Esmé Cameron. This episode we're going to discuss the new film Frankenstein by Guillermo del Toro, famous Mexican director. There's so many films being made of Frankenstein. This is an interesting one. I've read that it's more faithful to the original novel than some, but I don't think that's actually true, is it?
I think it's better different than some of the other adaptations. It's quite commonly quite like a horror, very surface level story, and I quite like that this is deeper and more faithful in a way to the book.
Yeah, there are parts that are more faithful. So just to talk about that, the book is written by, it was started by Mary Shelley when she was 18 years old. Started in 1816. In 1818, it was published. The first edition was published. Okay. Mary was not at the time married, but later that year married to famous, now famous, romantic poet Percy Bysshe Shelley. And probably the most famous man in Europe at the time, or famous poet certainly, Lord Byron. They were together. And Lord Byron came up with this idea because they were holed up near Lake Geneva. It was a year without a summer because of some kind of volcanic eruption. So you think about how that can affect your state of mind and the kind of atmosphere. So they weren't venturing outdoors. They were saying, let's just come up with a horror story. And Mary Shelley came up took her a few days, and she had a dream, she had a nightmare, came up with Frankenstein. And one of the others in the group really started the whole vampire genre as well. So the vampire was written in. I'm talking a lot.
You know more about the history of Mary Shelley than I do, but I think that she takes a different position in terms of her characterization of the monster, I will say.
Are we going to call it the monster?
Or the creature.
The creature?
The creature is technically the same. I prefer to refer to the creature as Frankenstein, and Frankenstein is Victor, but
yes,
creature is the accurate name.
Well, actually, accuracy is a funny thing, isn't it? Because it's just in the popular imagination, the monster, the creature, is called Frankenstein.
The creature and Frankenstein.
The film, based on Shelley's book, true to the original, doesn't matter really. No. And even what is the original, because there was a first draft, there was a second draft, there was a third draft with quite a number of changes in the 1830s. It was published.
Okay, so about the book, there were definitely some very prominent changes as to be expected. I personally don't see this as a bad thing. I think it's almost lazy in a way to completely stick to the original and completely base it off of her work. It's almost like Mary Shelley doing the work for you, but it does show that he does have skill in his direction and storyline as well, to divert slightly. Some of the major changes are actually to do with Elizabeth's storyline. In the book, she's Victor's fiancée and not his brother's. Which is interesting. She also only meets the creature on her wedding night, where, spoiler alert, ultimately she is killed. Whereas in the movie, there is a beautiful, almost motherly dynamic between her and the creature.
Yes.
Like, predating the scene. And then further, the creature sort of in the novel isn't something you feel really sympathetic for or much compassion for. More sort of symbol of the consequences of Victor's actions, whereas in the movie you see the creature's point of view and you really feel for him. I think most of the audience is probably on his side.
Yeah. There's definitely the film changes that dynamic where you have a lot of sympathy for the creature, much less sympathy for Victor himself. Whereas in the novel, actually, the creature's going about murdering Victor's brother and then his bride, and basically acting like a child who's behaving badly in order to get a parent's attention.
Yeah.
Also in the book, the real crime of Victor Frankenstein is that having made this creature, he takes one look at it and realizes, oh my God, what have I done? This ugly, horrible creature, and runs away and abandons it. So the abandonment is actually the chief crime there. Whereas in the film, basically, is torture too strong a word, but he really mistreats the creature.
Yeah. In
the same way that he was mistreated by his father.
Yeah. And I think there is such an element in the movie of, in the book, I feel like it was about Victor's pride. In the movie, it was about Victor's shame and needing to prove himself. And in doing that, he becomes the person he's most afraid of being, which is his father. And he abuses the creature in the same way his father did. It does show he's changing into sort of his worst nightmare as he creates the monster. But ultimately, I think the main message of the movie is about forgiveness. I'm not sure if I could say that about the book. And it's also about that parent dynamic and how much parents influence their children.
So, in a way, Victor's repeating the sins of the father. But in doing so, and actually feeling some remorse for the way he's treated the creature, he finds a way to be forgiven by the creature and to forgive his own father. There's really interesting stuff like Mary Shelley, her own mother died about 11 days after giving birth to her.
Oh, wow.
So this concept of reanimating the dead is very personal to her. Also, sadly, she had a baby that died, was born prematurely and died when she was very young before she wrote Frankenstein too. So that idea of the dead, and can the dead be brought back to life? Psychologically, in our minds and our hearts, they can. But this is also at a time of, great changes in in humanity and the advances in the sciences. So this idea of bringing something back to life, maybe, how is it brought back to life in the film? That's an interesting thing.
Oh, yes, we will talk about that. You didn't exactly enjoy that?
Yeah, there's in most all Frankenstein movies, there's this thing of the harnessing the lightning that's a jolt of electricity that brings the creature back to life. In Mary Shelley's book, that isn't actually the case. She's very
surprising.
She's very vague about which that's not really surprising that she's vague, because it couldn't be done. So how to describe it?
Yeah. But
it's more a kind of capturing of the essence of life, that somehow he knows the secret to what animates life, and this is how the creature comes alive.
But it's interesting that scene throughout the movie, we do kind of see Del Toro diverting from the stereotypes about the story, but we would say in this scene he kind of does, not to say lets himself down a bit, but it is a bit disappointing that it is a bit too cliche.
Yeah.
It's a bit too drama, thunder, lightning. It's not really, it kind of is playing into what's been done before, which I didn't particularly enjoy.
I wonder if he was actually trying to create the definitive version of that, to go, okay, this is the thing everybody knows about Frankenstein, let's do it better than anybody else has ever done it. And I suppose from that point of view might be okay. I just thought this was an opportunity to do something a bit different.
I think it was. I think because the movie is so beautiful, I understand that there's probably a lot of pressure to keep it so unique and so different, and it kind of falls off a little bit there in terms of it being unique. But I do enjoy the scene for its drama.
Okay, shall we talk about, is it possible to have spoilers with this film? Because I suppose
well, everyone's being spoiled. If you're listening to this, go watch the movie. If you haven't, but you will be spoiled. We're not going to hold back.
We're not going to hold back. The storyline of the movie, shall we go through it a little bit?
Yeah, let's go through it.
So it's basically, it's mainly three parts. There's a prelude.
Yes.
In the prelude, there's this great ship that's stuck in the ice at the North Pole, I think it is, and that's where you introduce to the creature that attacks the crew. Mm-hmm. Victor Frankenstein comes on board, and he's in a pretty bad shape.
Yes.
And it's really, he starts to tell the captain and his story.
Yeah.
If I have a criticism, but you didn't feel, I know you didn't feel the same way, was I thought it was quite long, the film, and then you got to, I thought, must be coming to the end of the film now, and then it was like part 1 ended and part 2 came, and it was like the creature's tale.
Yeah.
No.
I do understand that. I feel like I'm quite used to almost like musical theatre, like pause interlude in the middle. So to me, it was expected because I'm used to it. I can see how somebody who would watch movies more casually or isn't used to that kind of world would be like, oh my gosh, I've just watched all of this just to go over it again from the creature's point of view. But I think it really just does depend on your opinion on it. I don't think it's necessarily a flaw.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Basic storyline, Victor's tale is that he grows up very close to his mother. Is she called Elizabeth as well? Or is that...
No, she's called Claire.
She's called Claire. Oh, right. Yeah.
Played by the same actress, Mia Goth, as plays Elizabeth, which I thought was interesting.
Okay. So, yeah, got it now. Victor's father is this, is he a scientist?
Yeah,
himself,
I think he's sort of a surgeon or a cardiologist.
Oh, yes, that's right. And he's I think, very eminent in his field, and is very harsh to young Victor. Really, almost, abusively harsh.
Yeah,
I would
he
say.
was abusive.
And
yes.
so there's a lot of resentment. Then the mother gives birth to Victor's brother William, and she dies.
Unfortunately, yes.
In fact, isn't the father maybe? It's not spelled out, but maybe the implication is that he tried harder to save the baby boy than the wife. So. Which
really shows how much he values his wife. To be honest, I think it's always right to save mother in that situation, but
so all this is of course very psychologically disturbing, but what Victor grows up, and I think he wants to be as even more intelligent, even more distinguished isn't the word, accomplish more than his father. He goes to the Royal College of Surgeons in Edinburgh, and he's expelled from there because he's conducting these weird experiments trying to reanimate dead matter.
And of course the religious folk do not like that he is sort of playing God and messing with life and resurrection in that way.
Yeah, that's interesting because people often say this book is about, man playing God, acting as if he's God, and but those surgeons who are opposed to what he's doing are kind of portrayed as crusty, old, boring, old conservative men, aren't they?
And then by the end, a lot of us are actually sort of agreeing and saying, no, you shouldn't be creating this creature. You shouldn't be playing God in this way. And we sort of fall into their beliefs, not necessarily from a religious standpoint, but because of what happens later, we do kind of follow that as well.
Yeah, what do you think of the creature as a creature? Because most of us have a vision of Frankenstein from the movies, and it's Boris Karloff was the actor who I think was most famous. But that big square or rectangular head with, the sewing, the stitching across the forehead, and
the big bolts inside the head.
That's right. Yeah, this was a different type of creature. How would you describe?
Well, I would say the creature is much more corpse-like. Isn't the green the stereotypical horror movie green, which I did like. I didn't want him to be green. This is not Wicked. We aren't Elphaba. But he was pieced together from different bodies. He's very pale and sort of, he does look like a corpse, but it still keeps the element of the stitching of him being pieced together without it being what's been done before, I would say.
So he's stitched together from hanged criminals, killed soldiers, because there's a war going on, Crimean War, I think it is. Awfully tall, awfully big ones.
Very tall. To be fair, Jacob Elordi himself is very tall, but obviously not as tall as the creature is in the movie. But he himself is massive, so part of that was just the actor, I guess. But I do quite like that he was sort of a towering, strong creature made out of the best parts that he could find.
But maybe they seemed individually like good parts, but when it was all put all together and come to life, then Victor was horrified by his own creation.
Yeah. I will say I was very relieved when Frankenstein started growing hair. Very relieved. I did not like the bald thing. Did not like it at all. So I was relieved when he started growing his big long hair.
Well, hats off to the actor, because he also, I've seen him play Elvis Presley as well in Priscilla.
Yeah. He's done many things, Euphoria and everything.
Elvis and Frankenstein's creature, that's versatility, is it not?
Yeah. I mean, if you know of Nate as well, it's even way more different. I mean, I can't imagine playing both Nate Jacobs and Frankenstein. Very different characters.
And what about the female actors? You're a fan of Mia Goth?
Oh, yeah. Love Mia Goth. She's pretty famous. I wouldn't say maybe as famous as Jacob Elordi, but she's excellent. I just love... She reminds me of Shelley Duvall a lot. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
Just, I don't know, the way she carries herself, the way she talks, she reminds me of her. I love her. I love her energy. And she played both Claire and Elizabeth, Claire being Frankenstein's mother and Elizabeth being Frankenstein's brother's fiancée.
Yeah, who Victor also falls in love with.
Yes, which is not mutual.
Yes. There's definitely there's some kind of attraction there, though. I think there's some kind of pull between us, or not.
I think he's sort of seeking almost again like his mother's approval, and he is resentful towards his brother for stealing his mother away, like he did when he was born and his mother died.
Good point. So Frankenstein, Victor Frankenstein, isn't alone in this quest. So he is actually supported by a wealthy man, Harlander,
who's funding his scientific discoveries.
And we don't, and it's Harlander's niece who is Elizabeth.
Yes.
Who is William's fiancée.
Yes.
This all sounds a bit complicated. We get to know why Harlander is so invested in this project, which is that he is dying of syphilis.
Yeah, and he wants to be put into Frankenstein's body. He wants, I think it's his brain. He wants to come alive as Frankenstein. He wants to be brought back to life.
Yeah, but Victor knows that his illness will have kind of corrupted his brain too, and he's refusing, and Harlander plunges to his death in an accident in the tower
over a fight.
A fight, yes. And Victor, but at this stage, is really kind of mad, isn't he?
He is. He's so focused. You can feel the frustration building up in the scene. You almost feel like Victor being like, "No, we've gotten so close to the monster. Do not cause trouble. Do not interrupt it now. Do not sabotage anything."
And then Elizabeth and William come, and Elizabeth befriends the creature who Victor has really shackled down in the basement. And this is the strange thing, is that the creature is with these just chains round his wrist, somehow cannot break free from these chains, and yet is strong enough later in the film to actually push a ship and move it through the ice. So what do we think of that?
Of an inconsistency, I would say it is possibility that it was to show how he doesn't really know how to disobey his master. Maybe he wasn't aware of his full strength to break free from the chains. Maybe he was building strength, but I will say it was so unrealistic that he could push an entire ship of men through ice at the end.
It's a good point, because, like, where is realism in a film like of the story of Frankenstein? But within its own parameters, really, there still has to be some sort of realism or some consistency in the strength. So that seemed a wee bit silly. I wouldn't get too hung up about it, but yeah.
That part, whenever I did see him push the ship, in my head I was a bit like, okay, sure.
Oh yeah, Victor sets fire to the building, basically trying to kill
very tense scene.
The creature, and
manages to escape.
The creature manages to escape, and this is actually the part of that's most similar to the book. So he escapes to this farm. There's a family there. He's kind of observing. There's an old blind man, and the creature learns learns language, learns how to speak, how to read, and the blind man is really kind to him.
Yeah.
and the old blind man, and it's sort of like the wise good father.
Yes.
There's a lot of things about shadows here and opposites, isn't there?
Mm.
I suppose another story in the 19th century was a strange case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, and has a similar sort of theme. In that case, with Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, the two creatures, if you like, the kind of victor and creature sort of thing, exist within the same man. They're not two different beings.
Yeah.
Poor creature is misunderstood. So the hunters come back and think that he's killed the old man.
Because wolves have gotten in to the barn, the cabin.
Yeah.
We learn in this scene, it is kind of maybe hinted throughout, but Frankenstein doesn't seem to be able to die, or at least he seems to sort of come back to life. When he's shot brutally, it seems like he's completely done for, and he wakes up a few days later. Yeah,
I'm not sure about how I feel about that. It feels like it's introducing this supernatural element, that he's unkillable.
I mean, realistically, you'd think he'd be easy to kill. You'd think he'd be quite delicate, pieced together from all these beings. But I think it does add more to the story. It adds more tension in the chase, which we see later in the beginning scene when he's sort of indestructible. It adds that. But yes, it is sort of almost like, oh, he just can't be killed. It just can't happen.
Yeah, actually, what one criticism I would have would be how many times do we have to see him being shot?
Yes.
And know that, bullets are not going to impact him, or only have a very short-term impact on him. So, and how is I'm just trying to think, when it goes to Victor's tale to the creature's tale, I thought, that's interesting. Maybe we're going to have another account of the same events, but from a different perspective. But actually, it's not really. It's not quite. It's mostly just continuing on, which I thought was good because as much as I love seeing both point of views, I wouldn't have wanted to see the same story through his eyes. I wouldn't have been as interested in that, to be honest. I really did love to see his dynamic with the old man, and that storyline was very good. I could see maybe people not being as interested by that, but I just loved it. I think he's the opposite to Victor in a way, and it's, apart from Elizabeth, it is the first time he's experiencing that fatherly love that he's been craving, and it is a very beautiful scene. And so as the story develops, we get the rather horrible wedding scene. I hate this scene. Yeah, so the creature confronts Victor on the night of the wedding. Yes, between Elizabeth and William. Victor's brother. And this is what, so the creature now is now this is true in the book, from the book too, is demanding that Victor create a companion, like a female companion for him. Does he reject him? He does reject him. Yeah. He basically says, I don't want you to reproduce. I don't want to have any other sort of monsters like you walking around, basically. So he does just coldly reject him like that. And Victor accidentally shoots Elizabeth. I mean, he's trying to shoot the creature, but Elizabeth is so connected to him, so attached to him, so happy to see him that she just jumps forward, no hesitation. And she's still alive at this point, but barely. So the rest of the wedding guests rush in shock, and Victor tells the story that Frankenstein is the one that has killed Elizabeth. Mm-hmm. And Frankenstein, it's kind of frustrating. He doesn't defend himself at this point. He can speak. He's learned to speak English. Mm-hmm. He can say more than just Victor, and he just kind of runs off with her in his arms. He does. He takes her off to a cave or something, and he's kind of like comforting her, but she's dying, and she seems to have no regret about the whole thing. I mean, it is clear that their relationship is very mother and son. She's very caring towards him, very gentle towards him, and she really doesn't regret it until the end. It was so sad when she died, though. She was my favorite character. It's sort of like, if you think about it psychologically, Victor as a boy kind of turned into almost like something monstrous in his inner life from the death of the mother. And it's like the mother coming back to soothe that disturbed son. The creature chases chase me, chase me. Chases Victor.
Yes.
And disfigures him and attacks him.
And also there's a scene where I think he sort of sets off a bomb and tells Victor, you can run, I'll stay here with the bomb. And you kind of see the bomb go off and the creature's fine. He's okay.
Yeah.
Which is kind of annoying. I will say the chase scene, does this happen in the book? Yes. Is this accurate?
There is a chase scene, but it's the other way around.
Oh, okay.
So because the creature has killed his bride, killed his brother, Victor's chasing him. Yeah. Which kind of makes sense.
It makes more sense because I feel like the creature could knock him out with one punch.
Yes.
I think almost maybe there must be an element of him wanting to keep him alive.
Yeah.
He does have a soft spot for him in his heart as his creator, as his father, which we do see in the end when ultimately there is forgiveness. But I think maybe that's the reason why he doesn't kill him. He almost just wants to keep him on his toes and mistreat him. He doesn't want to end his life. He doesn't want to kill him. He still craves the attention from him, I think.
Mm-hmm. Something just occurred to me there was kind of the scenes that bookend the film is in the opening when the ship is stuck in the ice and the crew are sort of saying to the captain that when they break free, they want to go home. They really want to go home. He's saying, no, we have a mission. We have to go. We have to go where we're meant to go. But at the very end, when the captain hears all this story, he actually said, when the creature pushes the ship free, yeah, we're going home. So it's almost like a return to valuing like domesticity as opposed to like ambition, not this like, no matter how hard the struggle is, we're going to cut through this ice, through the North Pole. We're going to see our mission to the end. A bit like Victor with his scientific mission, but he's like, no, let's just value family life and go back home.
Yeah, I thought it was very touching to see the forgiveness leading up to this because people might be confused. Oh, why is he forgiven him? I thought he was just exploding things 5 seconds ago. Basically, he is going on a hunt after Victor, and this is where it kind of returns to the beginning where you see Frankenstein's creature kind of going off. He's killing these men, he's throwing them aside, trying to get onto the ship to get to Victor, who's telling the story. He finally reaches Victor. We do see whenever he goes into his perspective, that's whenever the creature's story happens. He's saying, well, this is my side of the story. And then after discussing their sides of the story, they do kind of come to an agreement of forgiveness, of love, and sort of apologize. It almost happens quite quickly, I will say.
Yeah.
That was maybe a criticism of mine. I was a bit like, oh, I thought we were about to kill him. We seem to have simmered down quite a lot.
Yeah. Do you think it's too happy an ending? Not exactly a happy ending, but it's
maybe a little bit. I mean, it was... People who love a happy ending will love this. I prefer a little bit of a tragic ending, to be honest. I quite like to be a little bit sad at the end of a movie. But I did think it was good, although I was kind of rooting for the creature. I'd be like, kill him, just kill him. I really didn't like Victor, but it was a very sweet moment. It did kind of bring it to a full circle. It did wrap it up well and neatly, I will say.
Yeah. What do we think about just the look of the film? Visually, the production, the direction, the costumes, all this.
I'm excited to talk about this. I mean, there were such beautiful sets, like even like the castles and the places where Frankenstein's created and things like, it's such a beautiful set. I think they had a very large budget for this, I'm not sure, but there were so many special effects, so many incredible scenes. The costuming was incredible. I mean, my favorite of the movie was at the beginning of the movie when we're introduced to Claire, and she's wearing this great red dress with this big sort of veil.
This is Victor's mother, Claire.
Victor's mother, and I just love that. It kind of shows her power and her rebellion, and it's just a beautiful dress. I love all of Elizabeth's clothing. All of the costuming was just so impressive. The set design and everything. I will say, maybe because we were watching it on the big screen in a cinema, the darkness of the movie didn't bother us so much. But I imagine if you're watching it on a TV at home in your living room, it would be maybe too dark, maybe. And there's not enough contrast between light and dark for me.
Well, we could put that to the test by actually watching it on telly.
That's true.
How much do you feel like you want to do that, or do you think, I've seen it once?
No, I would definitely rewatch it.
You would rewatch it?
Yeah, I thought it was an incredible movie. It does have its flaws, but it is very, very good.
I'm more tempted to watch other versions of Frankenstein.
Really? I loved it.
Yeah. No, I mean, I will go back to it at some point, but I thought, okay, there was a film version. No, I think it was in 2 parts that was made a few years back, and it was truer to the book. And I thought, oh, it'd be interesting to see that, to compare. So the costumes were impressive. The whole sets were. I sort of feel like once you've committed to that, to make it look gorgeous, like you just have to maintain that, to sustain it throughout. I don't know. For me, like some of the beauty of filmmaking would be, well, what if you had a low budget and you had to make that movie?
That's true. That's true.
You know, and you had to think of other ways of making it interesting. But anyway, that's not this film. It is sumptuous, gorgeous. Is that the Del Toro's style generally? You're probably more familiar with his other work.
I mean, his work ranges from The Hobbit to Kung Fu Panda. I wouldn't really know.
Kung Fu Panda, really?
Yeah, I think he is director of Kung Fu Panda, if I'm not mistaken. So yes, the costume designer, Kate Howley, I think she has worked with Del Toro before. I mean, props to her. The costuming was incredible. I will say, I'm always not as drawn to the men's outfits. They were quite well done, good for the time period. I was definitely more drawn to Elizabeth's outfits, I will say.
Yeah, and Claire's.
Yes. Oh, Claire's was my favourite.
Yeah. I wouldn't say that costumes are the thing I notice most of when I go to see a film. I do. But I did notice Claire's, the red dress. I know you were talking about her power and so on, but for me, I also thought of her death and kind of bleeding to that scene, kind of a real blood red, wasn't it?
She almost felt so unnatural, almost. It was against this massive sort of old estate, and her in this big statement gown. It was almost like you knew that there was danger, that something was going to happen. It didn't feel that she was right there. It didn't feel like she could survive in that place.
Here's the thing. How come Victor, with so much wealth that presumably he inherited with his brother, how come he needed Harlan's money?
See, that confused me. I feel like it wasn't well explained because it was never presented that he blew his money. Maybe he did on his scientific research,
experiments,
but it's not really shown. It's not really explained. And his brother seems to be very wealthy. So when Harlander funds him, he comes with a warning of, oh, you don't have to pay me back, but you might have to do me a favor in the future, sort of foreboding. I think that you'd think he would have the money, he would have the sense not to do such a thing, but he was desperate.
I suppose maybe where there's an element of this being like a fairy tale, really, and where we're coming at it from too much of a realism perspective, and maybe we just have to accept that in a way, like in a fairy tale, bits of the story are kind of stitched together, like the creatures. See what I did there?
Yes.
Yeah. So the actors, we've discussed your man Elvis.
Yes, Jacob Elordi,
right.
Who he was incredible. His voice acting was especially important in this one, as Frankenstein is sort of learning how to speak for the first time. His voice was so different. It was very sort of gravelly, and I wasn't even sure at first if it was his voice, but yes, he did voice him.
All right, okay.
I think the main three are Jacob Elordi, Mia Goth, and Oscar Isaac, who played Victor Frankenstein. All extremely believable performances. I mean, incredible. Especially on Mia Goth's part, I think she was incredible in this movie. She really fits, and yeah, I just thought that she really, even though I know her so well as an actress, I really just saw her as her character, which I think is a telltale sign of a good actor.
I thought there was a kind of I was talking about fairy tale there, but there was an element of Beauty and the Beast in the way she responded to the creature. Yeah. I know you talked about being motherly, but also, I don't know if it's attraction or something, but she's very loving towards...
in my view, I don't think it's romantic, but I think it's her sort of taking him in and being so accepting and curious. And I think she does maybe feel like an outsider, and she does see this character who really is so different, and she's so drawn in. I don't think necessarily out of attraction, but of curiosity and of almost relief that there's something so different out there.
There's some, I can't remember the exact quote, but when Elizabeth's dying, say something about not really belonging to this, never having belonged to this world.
It is clear that she does kind of stand out, much like Claire did, his mother. I think he does see a lot of his mother in her.
Do you think there's an element, though, of women being, of the feminine in the film being really kind of, I don't know, mysterious or archetypal or spiritual or something beyond realism?
Yeah. I don't know. I really liked the way it is. You would think it's quite a male movie in terms of Frankenstein's creature, his creator and everything. But I really liked how they showed Claire and Elizabeth are not just these vulnerable poor women. They are strong. They are incredible women. They are smart women. We don't see much of Claire, but from what we see, I do really like her. She definitely stands out. Elizabeth, she holds more power. I would say her and William's dynamic. She does seem to be very sure of herself, and she doesn't give in. She doesn't give in to Frankenstein's advances. She immediately rejects him, and even the scene where she feels something is wrong whenever the building is burning down and everything. She feels something's wrong. And she just says, we're turning back around, we're turning this carriage around. It kind of stood out to me that she does have that power and that influence, and I did really enjoy that.
There's quite a nice scene where Victor is kind of like, this is the point where he really fancies her and wanting to kind of seduce her, and he's kind of stalking her, following her. And she notices she's in church and goes to a confession, and it's Victor pretending to be the priest, but she knows that it's him, and she kind of winds her up. That was a funny scene. Yeah. With a lot of laughs in the film, I'd say.
Yeah.
That was one.
Yeah, I did love that scene. I liked how they didn't portray any of the women as, oh no, what did we do? I have no idea what's going on, which is very typical. Yeah. But it was incredible in that aspect. I think they did Mary Shelley justice. I think that's what she would have wanted. Yeah. She herself is an incredible woman.
I've read a feminist critique of Mary Shelley's book saying that this is what happens when men create children without women.
Exactly. This is what the movie's really about.
Yes. In terms of the overall meaning that you would take from the film, from the story, I wonder, how does this film, what does it add to what we know, what the meaning of the Frankenstein story? What is different about this, I wonder?
I think it diverts from horror and more goes into what is like to forgive, the cycles of abuse within the family and how they sort of break that cycle. It really does explore like childhood trauma and how that influences someone's character.
Yeah.
Whereas a lot of adaptations, you see, it's about the horror, it's about this great monster killing everybody. This one, it was about a father and son with a complicated relationship.
So, I wonder if that's the popularity of the story lies a lot in that kind of mythical, the monster, the kind of superhuman but distorted superhuman element. And this, does it humanize that story? I suppose it does a bit with all the psychology of the mother dying and mistreating the father, then Victor's mistreatment of the creature. Yeah, there's it's quite a neat psychological, all the loose ends are sort of tied up.
Maybe a little too neat for me. A bit too neat. I didn't really like the happy ending, the forgiveness, the love. I mean, it is probably for some people. For me, I thought it would be better to leave some things untangled, to leave some things in chaos a little bit, because it's not realistic to heal those wounds in one go.
I sometimes feel that way when I'm watching films, that that our knowledge of psychology is being applied to a story, as opposed to telling a story that seems a bit haphazard and almost surprising. So, in a way, if you actually read Grimm's fairy tales, for instance, there's just some things you go, what? That where did that come from? That's a bit weird. So yeah, I think I agree with you that it's a little bit too neat. But I mean, I think we both came out of the cinema feeling, yeah, that was good.
No, we were impressed. I was really impressed because previous to this movie, I didn't really have any knowledge of Frankenstein. The only knowledge I have of Frankenstein was the monster high doll Frankenstein. So I really wasn't aware of the story at all. And I was honestly very impressed by it. I thought it was an incredible movie. I do have my critiques, but overall, I think it's beautiful and I really do enjoy it.
Yeah, well, that's a good point. Maybe that is an important aspect of all this sumptuousness and the visuals and the costumes, is actually to make it beautiful. And this is a story of the monstrous, but beauty. There's a poem by Rilke in which talks about beauty and terror, being the connected to the two sides of the coin, sort of a thing.
I really hope this is also other people's introduction to Frankenstein. I hope that it was kind of my introduction in a way. I did know the stories. I hadn't watched many movies on it or anything. I hope people watch this movie and come away from it and that's their view of Frankenstein rather than stereotypical. So I think that this movie does do a good job of that and presenting the story in such a good way. And I think it's much better than the things that have been done before.
Yeah. I'd love to know, do book sales of Frankenstein, of Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, do they spike? How many viewers are going to go back to the book? Well,
not many.
No. Did make me go back and actually make me want to compare the first edition and the third edition. And maybe I'll do that. Maybe I'll run out of steam and we'll be on to the next thing. But yes, okay. Frankenstein, we're saying, is it better than Taylor Swift's new album?
No, nothing is better than The Life of a Showgirl.
Okay, well, we'll wrap it up there, and we certainly hope you enjoyed this episode, and you will do all these things like No, we haven't set up subscription and stuff yet, have we? Oh, you can follow us.
Follow us. Give us a 5-star rating. 5-star rating, it helps us.
We started Spotify. We're now on Apple and Amazon.
Share it to everyone you know.
And on YouTube.
Apart from people in my school.
And yes, thanks for joining us. And we'll be back getting to the heart of the matter in some other artistic endeavour very shortly.
We have very exciting episodes.
We have something very good coming up.
I'm very excited. You'll be excited. We're all excited for it.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye.